Namaste. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me on this journey and exploration into everything health and consciousness. This week, we're talking about what is Ayurveda. We're asking what is Ayurveda. We're exploring what is Ayurveda, really. I ask a question. What if true healing wasn't about fixing what is wrong? It's about remembering what is right, natural, and already whole within us. This is what Ayurveda teaches us. This is the Ayurvedic journey. Here we explore one of the most ancient, sophisticated health and soul consciousness-centered systems that's ever existed on the planet. That's Ayurveda. Ayurveda is the knowledge and the science of life. It's the wisdom of the universe and how the material world operates. Often we hear Ayurveda is reduced to your body type. You hear in an Ayurvedic or yoga class, what's your type? What's your type? It's reduced to a diet or some exotic routine or some herbal medicines. It's so much more than that. That's part of it. It's a small part of it. It's so much more than that. It's a sacred living practice, path, science, and wisdom tradition that ultimately teaches us how to live in deep harmony with ourself, with nature, with time, and to be in tune always, in every moment, in our true essence, to be embodied. Ayurveda is not a trend. When yoga came out, they thought it was a trend. When TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, came out, they thought it was a trend. It's not a trend. And it's not a one-size-fits-all protocol. It's not like the Ayurvedic diet is right for everyone. Actually, it is, because the Ayurvedic diet is your unique diet. But there's not one protocol that treats every person. It treats every person as a unique, divine individual. It's spiritual psychology. It's a lifestyle path. It's a healing art all in one, and it's individual. So here in this podcast, in this episode, we're going to explore what Ayurveda actually is beyond the surface and the principles of Ayurveda, especially relating to the 5 great elements and the 3 doshas that ultimately shape our body, mind, and to a large extent our personality, and how disease arises. And when we live out of sync with nature, and how healing begins when we realign with nature. We'll explore the Ayurvedic view of digestion, emotion, consciousness. And some people think that Ayurveda is about restricting things. Actually, it's not. It's about being in right rhythm, right relationship, and right remembrance with ourself, with nature, with creation. And we're going to explore how to begin to apply this wisdom right now, whether it's to your job or your family or to your meals or to your morning routine or to your mood or your mindset. There's a wisdom to creation, and we're going to explore that in depth. So this episode is for you if you are curious, if you're conscious, if you're seeking, if you want to find ways to live in balance, to walk in harmony, to be intuitive, to be embodied, and to sustain the path of wellness. Ayurveda invites us home to be ourselves, to the cycles of creation, to our own intuition, to our own sacred biology and joy. This is going to be an extended episode, so grab a cup of tea, or go to the gym, or go for a nice walk in nature while you're listening to this, or put it on a speaker and do your yoga practice. Take a deep breath, tune in, and let yourself be nourished by the sacred ancient wisdom of Ayurveda. When we understand nature, when we understand our own nature, really we can align with ourselves and we can align with life itself. So asking what Ayurveda actually is beyond the surface level, Ayurveda isn't just a healthcare system. That is true, but it's a conscious living tradition. It's the art and science and spirituality of aligning with the natural intelligence that exists within us and in all of creation. Many people do associate it with diet charts, body types. It's much more. and we'll see this now. Ayurveda teaches us that we're not separate from nature, that we are nature. Health isn't something that we need to achieve. It's something we need to remember. And through reconnecting to ourselves, through simplicity, it's not complicated, it's simplicity. Nature has a divine intelligence. When we stop interfering with that, we go into balance, we go into harmony. On one level, Ayurveda is reclaiming our self. It's reclaiming our soul. If you look in today's wellness world, Ayurveda is everywhere. If you go to Whole Foods, you go to the natural grocery store, you see Ayurveda everywhere. Even in like mainstream spas, they're promoting Ayurveda treatments. I haven't been to any of those. I don't know the authenticity of that, but it's promoted everywhere. Every social media page, every cafe, you'll see an Ayurveda dosha quiz. You'll see turmeric lattes in the regular coffee shops. Tongue scrapers are being sold at every single store, right and left. There's visibility of Ayurveda everywhere. There's beauty products being sold. But this is on a major level, this is being misunderstood. It's being reduced to these surface level tips or exotic trends or to sell a product. Ayurveda is not a trend. It's not a checklist. Really, Ayurveda is a conscious living tradition. It's the native wisdom of humanity. It's the native wisdom of Mother Earth. It's the native wisdom of our universe. It's this sacred wisdom that invites us to align with the intelligence of nature. Just looking at the deeper meaning of Ayurveda, the word Ayurveda comes from the Sanskrit language, which is the oldest language on the planet. Ayur means life. Veda means the knowledge or wisdom of. So together, it is the knowledge of life. It's not just knowing about our chakra system or our kundalini or an herb to do this thing or that thing. It is the fullest expression of life as spirit, as matter, as energy, as rhythm, and consciousness. Really, for me, in its essence, Ayurveda is a system of remembering who we truly are and how we are meant to live on the earth. It's the same thing in the native indigenous wisdom traditions. They teach us that it's the same intelligence in us that moves the stars, that grows the trees, that governs the tides. It's what animates our breath, our heartbeat, our mind. And when we can live in harmony with that divine intelligence, we experience a vitality. We have a motivation. When we resist it or we forget it, that's when we start suffering. Ayurveda isn't just about being healthy on a physical level. It's about wholeness. Ayurveda doesn't tell us that health is an absence of symptoms. Ayurveda tells us that health is swasthya, to be established in ourself. I think I've talked about this before. It's that place of profound balance, contentment, and connection with ourself. It's a balance of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual unification. This kind of health and well-being is not something we achieve by striving. It's something that happens when we remember. When we remember by returning to simplicity, we return to the basics. That means living in rhythm with the natural cycles, rising before the sun or with the sun, going to bed after the sun sets, living in rhythm with the moon cycles, with the seasons, eating food, growing our own food in harmony with the seasons, eating food that is appropriate to our unique individual needs and to the climate. And one thing is honoring rest as much as we value and honor productivity. That is equally as important. I think in the West, it's not so much honored to rest. We don't have time. The women's cycle of each month is holy and sacred and divine. I believe that all women should have 3 to 5 days off during their cycle to be still, to go within. They don't need to go to work. They don't need to take care of the family or cook or do chores or anything. They need that time within to bleed on the earth, to tune in and take the wisdom and go within and find the intuition and help the family, help the community through that intuitive wisdom. It's a time for honoring rest and going within. It's a time to tune in to our emotional and energetic states. Men need that too. But women have this beautiful blessing of every month having this beautiful cycle. And that needs to be honored and practiced and accepted in society. We need to practice awareness in how we speak and how we move, how we breathe, how we relate to each other. Ayurveda sees life, sees our body, sees our mind, sees our consciousness as sacred. And consciousness, our spirit, our heart, is central to the healing process. In Ayurveda, in all wisdom traditions, we see that illness or dis-ease is a messenger of the divine. It's not a mistake. It's a messenger that we need to return to wholeness. It's not just fixing a part or trying to kill a bacteria or virus. It's about returning to our wholeness. Remembering that we are nature. To me, truly, one of the most revolutionary insights of Ayurveda tells us that we are not separate from nature, that we are nature. Our body is made up of the same 5 elements that all of this world is made up of. Space, which is the container for everything. Air, fire, water, and earth. That makes up our body. That makes up everything in the material world. Even the things we make in the laboratory, even the things we call artificial or synthetic, came from 5 elements. I'm not saying that we should eat artificial foods or take synthetic vitamins or genetically modified organisms, but in essence, everything comes from these 5 elements. Our inner climate, our inner environment responds to the outer climate or the outer environment. Our energy rises and falls like the sun does. Our digestive system changes during the day. In the morning, our digestive system is strong. In the middle of the day, when the sun is at its peak, that's when it's the strongest. The end of the day, when the sun is setting, our digestive system is at the weakest. Likewise, our breath moves in cycles throughout the day. It switches hemispheres during the day. Our breath moves our thoughts. Our breath moves our emotions. Our stillness mirrors the stillness of a mountain, the stillness of a completely calm lake where there's no wind to ripple it. Our changeability is reflected by the tides in nature when the winds do blow in from the 8 different directions. We're all of this. And ultimately, when we forget this, we become exhausted. Physically, mentally, emotionally, we become exhausted. And we make bad decisions from this place. We often eat foods that don't serve us, that aren't actually food. They don't provide fuel for our body or our hearts or our consciousness. We're eating to suppress unprocessed emotions. When we live out of sync with the natural world, that's when imbalances start to accumulate. But when we remember the natural world and we remember our place in it and we realign, we're filled with energy. Our digestion improves, our sleep improves, our clarity improves, our motivation improves, our enthusiasm improves. Health is the natural outcome of right relationship. So really, Ayurveda is a practice of reconnection. It's reconnecting with ourself, with the earth, with consciousness, with the seasons, with the cycles, with the part of us that knows in every moment what we need. And if we slow down long enough to listen, it's clear. Ayurveda teaches the path of simplicity in a world that overcomplicates everything. It overcomplicates our healing process. It overcomplicates our relationships. It overcomplicates our value. Ayurveda is a path of gentleness in a world that's really, on some level, demanding force. There's a coffee shop on every street corner in major cities to jack us up with adrenaline so we can go out and achieve something. The modern philosophy is survival of the fittest. Ayurveda's philosophy is survival of the kindest, survival of the most compassion, survival of the most loving. It's a path of remembrance in a world that often, too often, forgets. Ayurveda isn't here to tell you who to be. It's here to help you become and remember who you are in your most natural, grounded, and joyful way possible. It is, again, beyond the absence of disease. The Western mindset, health, is defined as the absence of pathology. Ayurveda invites us to look in a more holistic and soul-filled view of it. According to Ayurvedic philosophy, health isn't what's missing, it's what's present. Once again, health is a clarity of mind. It's a joy in our hearts. It's a joy to wake up in the morning and we look forward to the day. We have a sense of purpose and connection to ourself in nature and everything we do. We have balanced, sustainable energy and digestion throughout the day. And that's not just digesting your food, that's digesting your life experience. At the end of the day, we have beautiful, peaceful sleep, aligned. And mostly throughout the day, we have a felt sense of harmony with our life. Ayurveda tells us that our body is a sacred vehicle, that time is sacred, that the earth is sacred, that our inner world is sacred. Remembering that we are a part of nature and we carry the wisdom within us. Always. We have always carried this within us. And yes, there are guidelines, but they're more like invitations, not commandments. Ayurveda gives suggestions and guidelines on how to do this. They're not based on some new age spaced out philosophy. They're based on the observation of the patterns in nature. These are not some artificial concocted rules trying to control you. They're there to allow you to be the best self you can possibly be. If we follow these guidelines, these patterns, like waking before the sunrise, eating our largest meal in the middle of the day, resting more in the winter, we feel a natural coherence in our lives. Ultimately, Ayurveda is not about what you do, it's about how you live. This is the heart of Ayurveda. We treat it with reverence. We treat it with trust and awareness. And when we know the self, we know the universe and God. Ayurveda is not another thing to add to your to-do list. It's a way of being. It's a way of being awake, attuned, and alive. The foundation of this is based on these 5 great elements and the 3 doshas. This is the beauty of Ayurveda. It's given us this model, this beautiful, intuitive model of nature where everything, including us, is made up of the same components, these 5 elements. Again, these 5 elements are the space or ether element, air, fire, water, and earth. And ultimately, that's how the universe created. In the beginning, there was nothing. And then there was the word, Aum, which came through the air, and it became light, and that light condensed into water, and the water materialized into earth, into matter. So these 5 elements become the 3 doshas called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Vata is space, ether, and air. Pitta is fire and a little bit of water, and Kapha is the water and earth element. Very simple. And everyone is made up of these 3 elements. Many people are predominant in one or the other. Some people are dual, and occasionally people are balanced in all 3. Each of these 3 doshas and the 5 elements have unique qualities called gunas. The Vata dosha, the air and space element, is made up of the qualities of being light, dry, mobile, and quick. While Pitta, the fire element, fire is hot, it's sharp, it's intense, and it's transformative. And Kapha, the water and the earth, it's stable. It can be heavy. The earth is heavy. It's the water and earth together. It provides this cool, nourishing element. Our unique mix of these elements is what shapes our body and, to an extent, our mental tendencies, as well as our emotional patterns, even the unique gifts we have, the spiritual gifts we have, our spiritual understanding. Ayurveda says understanding our dosha is like having a personal owner's manual for the karma mobile or the human spaceship. It helps us to live in integrity and in balance with our unique design, rather than forcing ourselves to live in someone else's mold. There's only one of you. You can't be anyone else. Everyone else is taken. We have to be ourselves. Ayurveda tells us that these 5 great elements in these doshas, it's a nature-based map of body, mind, and soul. It's the heart of Ayurvedic wisdom. Your nature, nature is you. Ayurveda doesn't see a separation between the individual and the universe. Everything in existence, your body, your thoughts, your emotions, the seasons, all of it, it's all made of the same stuff. As above, so below. So everything we feel, everything we experience arises from this dynamic interplay of the 5 elements. When we balance the 5 elements, which is one of the unique models of Ayurveda, we can have a life of longevity that's filled with health and happiness. In Ayurveda, our unique constitution is called Prakriti. Deha dosha Prakriti, the body's natural constitution, which is a combination of the 5 elements. This is our so-called blueprint. It's the Ayurvedic blueprint. It's a unique expression of the elemental forces that are formed at the moment of conception. Again, some people are predominantly one dosha, others are a combination of 2 doshas, and occasionally someone is all 3. When we understand our dosha, we get this owner's manual that reveals to us what kind of foods we want to eat, what environments are best for us to live in, what activities support balance, how to honor the body and mind, how the body and mind respond to stress, and what we can do to balance that. Unique emotional patterns that we're prone to, and what our vulnerabilities are, what our gifts are, and what our system needs during different stages of life, during different seasons. So all of this wisdom allows us to live in this beautiful harmonic integrity with our own design, rather than trying to force ourselves, trying to force our ego, our will, onto habits, diets, and schedules that really don't serve us. So to live in alignment with the doshas, we need to reconnect to this ancient wisdom. In order to live in that flow of divine wisdom, it is important to understand how we go out of balance. How do we go out of sync with nature, and how dis-ease arises? Ayurveda tells us that that process of dis-ease begins when we do things that don't match our natural constitution, when we eat foods that are not appropriate for us, and that's unique and different for every person on the planet. When we have erratic schedules, when we suppress our emotions or depress our emotions through external means, or we ignore the cycles of rest and activity, that's when we start accumulating imbalances. It's at first very subtle, and then it becomes very physical. The healing process begins with the realignment of these things. Ultimately, the origin of disease in Ayurveda isn't seen as random. It's also not purely biological. It's viewed as a natural outcome from living out of harmony with time, with ourself, with the earth, with nature, with our body, and our own inner truth. And this is ultimately a compassionate perspective. Rather than viewing illness as a failure or a flaw, Ayurveda teaches us that dis-ease arises simply when we forget our own nature, the disconnection from the rhythms of life. And when we reconnect with nature, when we're aligned with proper living, we're aligned with our unique blueprint, we go back into health. And Ayurveda teaches us to eat in tune with the seasons, with our dosha, all these things. They're not arbitrary. These rules aren't arbitrary. These guidelines are not arbitrary. They're the ancient observation of life. And if we can follow this, live in intelligence, health arises effortlessly. understanding how imbalance gets formed, I think, is really important. So I want to share a little bit of that. It's a little bit technical, but I think it's very important. It's called samprapti in Ayurveda, the disease pathology. And Ayurveda views disease as a progressive process. It begins first subtle, in a very subtle body, the realm of energy, of thought, of emotion, long before it manifests physically. Here's the process of how the disease unfolds. So the vikruti, we have prakruti, which is our nature, the body's nature, and then vikruti is the current manifestation of that. Vikruti tells us that we experience small disturbances in the nature of prakruti, whether it's a mild stress, irregular sleeping habits, irregular eating or imbalanced eating for our body type, insomnia, even emotional overwhelm, watching the news, listening to politics, having a boss who's not kind and compassionate. All these things can lead to emotional overwhelm. Nothing needs to be dramatic, but something's a little bit off. It's not exactly in balance yet. From that, accumulation occurs. These are small disturbances that kind of build up over time. And it's possible we ignore the intuition or we push past it in the name of success. We can ignore the fatigue or suppress our needs. Something like this. We start adapting to discomfort. We start accepting little aches and pains and the need for caffeine or a stimulant in the morning as being natural. It's not actually natural. So we start adapting to our discomfort rather than addressing it and giving it love and attention. From the accumulation stage, we move into a stage called aggravation, when the doshas, the 5 elements, the 3 doshas, vata, pitta, kapha, actually do become aggravated. So when vata is too high, we may have anxiety or physical dryness in our bodies. The eyes or the skin may become dry. When pitta is too high, there may be inflammation or rashes, or we become very easily irritable or angry. If kapha is increased, there may be a heaviness, a stagnation, a sluggishness, a lethargy, the beginning of sadness, depression, or lack of motivation. Then from there, there's spillover, or it spreads. The imbalance starts to spread throughout the tissue. And oftentimes this is in the form of toxins from undigested food or mental toxins from undigested emotions or experience. When these toxins, when this imbalance spills or moves, if it's left unaddressed, that imbalance spreads throughout the whole body, through the organs, through the 7 tissues, and it really does start affecting us on a bigger level. It affects our digestion, it affects our mood, it affects our hormones, and it definitely starts affecting our immunity. From there, the next stage is that it becomes localized. It finds an imbalance in the field, our body or our mind, that's a little bit weak or a little bit vulnerable. If there's a vulnerable dhatu, if there's a vulnerable tissue, it will go there and settle in there. And then the symptoms start to become very noticeable. They start to become more chronic or serious. At this point, now the disease, the dis-ease, or the symptom fully manifests. At this stage, this is what Western medicine probably or definitely finally recognizes as a condition. Ayurveda has a complete understanding of pathology, where Western medicine really, it's there only at the final stage, which is manifestation. Then it's harder to treat. And the roots have been firmly established, and we have to take more advanced measures to remove it. I'm not saying Western medicine is bad or wrong or anything. Western medicine saved lives. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Western medicine. It has saved my lives. But Ayurveda gives us a model that empowers us to intervene long before the disease ever has to manifest. We listen to the subtle changes in our body rather than waiting for the scream. When we start to drift out of sync, we have the tools, we have the understanding of how to go back into balance. Healing is a return to right relationship, to right alignment. It's a realignment. It's reconnecting to life itself. So first, we have to honor ourselves and listen to our body signals instead of overriding them. And that begins with rebuilding the trust in your own intuition and letting go of this concept of perfectionism and trying to meet other people's expectations of us. We can embrace our own rhythm. We can honor our own emotional landscape with compassion. And we can start living in balance. Ayurveda reminds us that we don't need to fight disease. First, we need to understand it. When we view imbalance as a teacher and not a failure, the journey into healing becomes soft. We stop chasing these quick fixes, this one herb or this one substance or this one medicine or this one practice will heal everything. No, it's a lifestyle. Again, I want to just keep reminding, Ayurveda teaches that we're not separate from nature. When we live like who we truly are, when we live as we are, we don't suffer anymore. When we live like we belong to ourselves, to the world, we heal. In order to heal, in order to really accept and belong to ourselves, we need to look at the Ayurvedic view of digestion. And that's digestion on every level. It's digesting everything. It's digesting our food, of course. It's also digesting our emotions, our thoughts, our experiences, and ultimately our consciousness. It's not only when we digest our food and our stomach's happy. We digest food, yes, of course. But the thoughts, the emotions, the experience, that's so much greater. If we can't fully digest something, it leaves behind a residue, a toxin known as ama in Ayurveda. And this ama, this toxin can accumulate physically, mentally. And when it accumulates physically, it creates things like symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, inflammation. If it's a mental toxin, we have confusion, we have dullness. We suppress, repress, depress our emotions. When the channels of perception are open, when they're clean, that's when we have clarity, vitality, and joy. William Blake wrote in The Doors of Perception, when the doors of perception have been cleansed, everything will appear as it truly is, infinite. We can experience life, we can experience the self as it truly is. This implies that consciousness is the ultimate healer. And the clearer our internal environment is, the more we can access that consciousness. The Ayurvedic view of digestion states that when we don't digest something, we store it. And what we store, we become. So if we're storing good experiences, we're storing happy experiences, thoughts, emotions, and that's what we become. We become happy, we become healthy, we become joyful. But if we're not digesting something, it becomes toxic. In Western medicine, digestion is kind of understood as a mechanical process, breaking down food into nutrients and then eliminating the waste. But Ayurveda sees it as a multi-layered process that affects everything. At the core of digestion is this concept called Agni. It's the fire of life. There's mental Agni and there's digestive Agni. There's Agni in different organs. The Agni of the liver is called Bhuta Agni. The Agni of the stomach is Jatara Agni. The fire that converts nutrients through the 7 tissues is called Dhatu Agni. Converting experience into mind is called Manasa Agni. And these different Agnis, it's a sacred flame. It's a divine flame of intelligence. It leads to experiential wisdom and thoughts and insight. So when Agni is strong and balanced, we feel clear, we feel energized, we feel focused, we feel content. But when it's weak, everyone has probably experienced this. We get gas, bloating, indigestion. And if that continues, we get anxiety, we get the brain fog, we become overloaded with our emotions. So there's many forms of Agni in the body. Cellular Agni, physical Agni, mental Agni. The central Agni to everything is Jatara Agni. That's the Agni in the gut, in the digestive tract. And that fire is composed of the 5 elements, and everything else is affected by that. We digest everything we experience, our thoughts, our emotions, our sensory impressions. It's very important to be discriminative of what we take in. We digest or don't digest our emotions, conversations. How many times have you caught yourself going over, oh, I wish I didn't say that, or why did I say that, or why did they say this? We go over that over and over again. We digest or don't digest our traumas. We digest what we see in the environment, even our relationships. Every experience we have in the material world must be processed. It must be met, it must be metabolized, and it must be integrated. And if it's too intense, if it's happening too fast, if the inner fire is not strong enough, we can't digest it. And if something isn't digested, it lingers in the system. It creates that toxin. It's uncooked. It's an uncooked experience. It's not fully, or it's unripened. And that's really the root of disease. Ama in the system is the root of the disease processes we talked about in that pathology. So the toxic buildup comes from what we don't digest. Again, physically, it's bloating, fatigue, heaviness. If we notice a sticky coating on our tongue, that's a sign. If we're congested, if we're waking up inflamed, that's a sign that there's toxins in the body. On a mental level, if we have confusion, if we have a lack of clarity, if we're filled with indecision or dullness, or we overthink, that's a sign of mental toxins. On an emotional level, if we are constantly experiencing sadness, I'm not saying that we shouldn't experience sadness, but if it's a chronic state, if we have regular anger or resentment, or if we're living with anxiety or fear, that's a sign of emotional toxicity. And energetically, these things appear as blockages, stagnation, a disconnect from our own intuition, and ultimately, I would say, some kind of spiritual numbness. We're not connected to spirit. We're not connected to our soul. This makes it hard for life force, the prana, to move freely. The awareness can't move freely. Emotional digestion, I think, is actually one of the key, most important, forgotten components to wellness. Emotions are energy in motion. It's Shakti, it's energy, it's vitality. But they have to be in motion. They have to move. When we're unable or unwilling to feel, we suppress it. We override it. We numb ourselves out through any number of methods. That emotional material becomes undigested. It's a psychic ama. It's stored in the nervous system. We store the issues in our tissues. Ayurveda gives us the tools not just to detox the body, but to deal with this emotional processing. We can slow down. We can take breaths. Breath work is crucial. Breathe and everything changes. We can journal. We can do heart-centered inquiry into ourselves. We can take time in nature. We can get a massage. We can talk to a trusted friend or a trusted guide or life coach or practitioner. Doing restorative yin yoga or slow qigong or tai chi, practices of stillness, or even Zen walking in nature. Any of these things allow us time to process our emotions. Just like food takes time to digest, our emotions need time, space, and present to be digested as well. At its deepest fundamental level, it's consciousness that's the ultimate healer. When the channels in the body and the mind are clear, we return to our essence, and that is presence, that's being, that's awareness, that's vitality, joy. Clarity is our natural state. I would say that healing ultimately is the process of removing anything that's obscuring our natural clarity. So again, healing is not about adding more. It's about clearing away anything that's not serving, clearing away the toxins, clearing away distraction, clearing away anything that's not actually ours. And so much is not ours. We're programmed from early childhood by our parents' beliefs, by conditioning. The first 7 years, we develop based on our environment. We develop our consciousness, our beliefs, our body based on the environment. So that consciousness, that purity, is the healing intelligence of life. So we need to rebuild our digestive system inside and out. Ayurveda gives us tools to rebuild and balance that Agni, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual Agni. whether it's through eating warm, nourishing foods in the right season, following daily routines that regulate the nervous system, leaving space in your day for silence, meditation, journaling, disconnecting from social media. All of these things help us to trust our body and our heart's natural signals. And when this sacred digestion is honored, healing is easy. Healing happens on its own. We digest life on all its experience, on all dimensions. We grow, not just healthier, but wiser. That's where wisdom comes from this experience. We become present, we become whole. So again, Ayurveda is not just about rhythm, relationship, and remembrance. It's about total unification. It's healing through harmony, not control. Ayurveda offers us a different path, a wise path, one that is not about restriction, it's remembrance. It's not obsessed with perfection, it's rhythm. It's not one that demands control, but right relationship. I've said this before, Ayurveda reminds us over and over and over again these same things, because this is what's necessary to heal, to become whole. Ayurveda begins with trust, not fear. At its heart, Ayurveda is a simple, radical truth. We're not broken. We're made of natural intelligence. The same intelligence that causes flowers to bloom, the sun to rise, the tides to shift, the seasons to change, is in you. It breathes you. It digests your food. It tells you when you're tired, hungry, inspired, and full. Instead of overriding that intelligence, let's listen to it. Let's honor it. Let's live in rhythm with it. Rhythm is medicine. The universe is in rhythm. Everything is in rhythm. What happens when you listen to a disharmonic orchestra, music that's not, the drummers are playing different rhythms? It's chaos. The body craves rhythm. The heart, the mind craves rhythm. The nervous system thrives on predictability. The organs repair themselves on a time schedule of 2 hours. The digestive system has natural peaks and dips during the day. The hormones, neurohormones, reproductive hormones respond to light and darkness. The mind is clear when we give it the space to be so. Ayurveda tells us all about this through dinacharya, through ritacharya, the daily routines, the seasonal routines, how to shift the lunar and solar routines. Ultimately, in Ayurveda, everything is relational. Food is not just a fuel, it's a relationship. Your body is not just an object to discipline, it's a living system. We don't tell our body to digest the food, it does it. There are millions of processes going on in our body that do everything for us. That's the natural intelligence of creation. Emotions are not inconveniences. They're the intelligence asking for attention. When we begin to live in our body, with our body, and not against it, we partner with nature because that's who we are. We don't dominate nature. We should stop asking, what should I do? We should ask, what am I feeling? What's needed right now? What does harmony look like in my body? This approach brings a much more softness and a sweetness and a sense of belonging, not just to our healing process, but to ourself, to our family, to our community, to the earth, to the present moment. So Ayurveda is not about learning something new. It's about remembering something ancient, something so ancient. It's remembering who you are. That healing comes from peace. Healing comes from connection to self. Ayurveda is not asking us to be perfect. It asks you to be present, because on some level, we're actually already purpose. We're already perfect. This is the core, to be present. Some days are going to be messy. Some days are going to be really messy. Some days we will wake up late. Some days we will eat late. Some days we will skip our morning process. Some days we will feel scattered or heavy or off track. This is life. We have to be able to adapt to it without going haywire. The goal isn't to be perfect in every moment. The goal is to notice, to be present, to return, to realign, to walk in rhythm, in relationship, in remembrance again and again and again with ourself. Small shifts can make such a big difference. Small shifts can help us to meet us where we're at, to help us to meet ourselves where we're at. Again, I want to keep reminding you, the key is not perfection. It's consistency. It's intuition. On a whole nother level, it's curiosity. Being able to listen and to live in a way that is sacred. So Ayurveda invites us to begin to apply this wisdom today. It's a gentle invitation to be right where you are, to begin right where you are. It doesn't demand radical changes. It doesn't ask you to uproot your life, abandon your favorite food, or follow these rigid set of rules. Be who you are, be where you are, and do it with curiosity. Do it with respect for life. Do it with compassion and empathy. Remember, we don't need to do everything all at once. You don't need to lead and live a perfect Ayurvedic lifestyle. You just need a few anchors, a few touch points for living in rhythm, nourishment, and connection. From there, the intuition will begin to speak more clearly. Your energy will become more trustworthy. Your choices will be more aligned. Again, Ayurveda is not something new to follow. It's a way of living. It's a practice of living with the earth and not against it. It's a practice of living life, not against it. In and through your body, not in opposition to it. With your spirit, not separate from it. So begin where you are. Choose one shift at a time. Feel what change is. Let Ayurveda be a sacred remembering of how to live, how to feel, how to be in harmony with yourself and with life. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. I know it was long. If you got benefit from this, if you feel that you need to re-listen to this, there's so many concepts here. Please re-listen to this over and over again. Share this podcast, subscribe to this podcast, and until the next time, walk in balance, live in balance, love in balance, increase your love light within your heart and spread it out into the world. And we expand the journey of health and consciousness together, one conversation at a time. Namaste.